Let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever felt like, no matter how much you give, how much you text first, how much you show up, he still pulls away? You're not needy. You're not doing too much. You're just giving your energy to someone who hasn't earned it. But here's the truth. No one tells you. The more you chase him, the less he sees your value. Because men, real men, don't fall in love with someone who's constantly trying to prove their worth. They fall in love with the woman who already knows her worth. The one who doesn't need to chase, because she's too busy choosing herself. And today, I'm going to teach you how to become the woman he can't stop thinking about. The woman he checks his phone for. The one who lives in his head rent-free, without lifting a finger or sending a million texts. This isn't about playing games. It's about shifting your energy so that you become the addiction, not the one getting addicted. Because the chase, it ends today. And once you learn these shifts, you'll never have to beg for attention again. So grab your power back, because what I'm about to share in this video might just change the way you date forever. Have you ever wondered why some people just linger in your mind even when they're not around? That's not an accident, it's emotional addiction, and it's wired deep into human psychology. At its core, emotional addiction is created through unpredictable rewards. It's the same principle that keeps people hooked on slot machines. When something or someone gives us just enough emotional intensity, a mix of pleasure, uncertainty, and occasional validation, our brains release dopamine, and we don't just like it, we crave it. Now here's the twist. When you're constantly chasing a man, you become the predictable one, always available, always responding, always doing the emotional labor. And in doing that, you strip away the space he needs to feel anything real, because obsession doesn't grow in full clarity. It grows in curiosity, in space, in the not knowing. It grows when he's left wondering, why isn't she texting first today? What's going on in her world that doesn't involve me? That's when emotional hooks start to form, not through presence, but through strategic absence. To become his addiction, you need to create an emotional rhythm, not just emotional availability. You're not withdrawing love, you're creating contrast. When you're selective with your time, when your attention feels earned instead of automatic, it becomes a reward. That's the psychological trigger. We value what we work for. We obsess over what we can't fully predict or control. The key is this: stop being the one who gives all the emotional highs. Start being the one who inspires them. When a man doesn't know exactly where he stands with you, but he feels amazing when he's around you, that's when emotional addiction forms. It's not about mind games. It's about emotional pacing, depth, and control. If you can learn how to activate those triggers with authenticity, grace, and confidence, you'll never need to chase again, because he'll be too busy chasing you. There's a difference between feminine energy and desperate energy, and most people confuse the two, which is why so many amazing women end up giving their power away without even realizing it. Feminine energy is magnetic, it's grounded, it's not loud, it doesn't beg, and it never forces, it invites, it attracts, it pulls in what it desires through presence, confidence, and emotional awareness. When you're truly in your feminine energy, you don't have to try so hard. You're not chasing love, you're choosing it. And when something doesn't align, you're not afraid to walk away, because you trust that your value doesn't need to be proven. It simply is. Desperate energy, on the other hand, comes from fear, from lack, from the deep belief that if you don't hold on tight, you'll lose him. So you overthink, you overgive, you constantly check your phone, you try to be enough for someone who hasn't even shown they're ready for you. And what happens? That energy pushes people away, because desperation repels. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are, or how much you care. If the energy behind your actions is rooted in fear of being abandoned, it's going to feel heavy. And people, especially emotionally unavailable men, will run from that weight. The truth is, feminine energy doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the right things from the right place. It means knowing when to lean in and when to lean back, when to receive and when to observe. It's the quiet confidence that says, I don't need to chase, because I trust what's meant for me will come, and if it doesn't, something better will. Desperate energy says, I need him to choose me, or I won't be okay. Feminine energy says, I already chose me, and that's enough. This is what men become addicted to. Not the woman who tries the hardest, but the woman who moves with self-trust. The woman who isn't begging to be seen, because she already sees herself. The woman who knows she's the prize, not in a performative way, but in a deep, embodied way that radiates from how she talks, walks, thinks, and responds. When you make this shift, everything changes. Conversations flow differently. He leans in more. You stop needing closure and start feeling peace. And most importantly, you stop settling for breadcrumbs and start commanding the full table. So ask yourself honestly, are you leaning into your power, or are you leaking it? Because the moment you choose to stop proving and start embodying, he'll feel it. And that's when he starts chasing something deeper than your looks or your words. He starts chasing your energy. And that is the beginning of becoming his biggest addiction, without ever chasing him again. You can be beautiful, smart, successful, and kind, but if you're showing up with certain energy or behaviors, it can still turn a man off instantly. And the worst part, most of the time, you don't even realize you're doing it. One of the biggest turnoffs for a man is neediness masked as connection. It's when you try to speed up the intimacy, texting him all day, needing constant reassurance, oversharing too soon, or making him the center of your world before he's even earned a place in your life. It may feel like you're just being open and loving, but when it's coming from a place of fear or urgency, he feels it. He may not be able to explain why, but something in him starts to emotionally pull back. Another instant turnoff, making him responsible for your happiness. When your mood shifts because he didn't text back quickly enough, or when your entire day depends on whether or not he gives you attention, that's emotional pressure. And most men, especially masculine energy men, are wired to avoid that kind of emotional weight, unless they've chosen to carry it. If they feel like you're handing them your emotional well-being before there's any real bond or trust built, they shut down fast. Trying to prove your worth is another silent repellent. Over-accommodating, saying yes when you really want to say no, bending your boundaries, dimming your light so he doesn't feel intimidated. All of that sends a subconscious message. I don't think I'm enough as I am, so I'll shape myself into whatever you want. That doesn't feel attractive. It feels like pressure, and pressure kills attraction. And let's not forget over-explaining or over-analyzing every little thing. If he hasn't texted in a few hours, and you spiral into essays or send emotionally loaded messages, you're not wrong for feeling your feelings, but how you express them matters. Emotional self-regulation is magnetic. Emotional chaos, especially early on, is not. Lastly, putting him on a pedestal before you even know who he really is. That's a huge red flag, not for him, but for you. When you idealize a man based on potential, or how he makes you feel temporarily, and you start acting like you've already won the prize just by having his attention, it subtly tells him that he doesn't have to work to keep you. And men value what they earn, not what's just handed to them. So if you want to be unforgettable, if you want to be that woman who leaves a lasting impression, stop trying to perform for his approval. Show up as your full self. Keep your emotional center grounded. Let him discover you over time. That's what creates the space for healthy, lasting desire. And remember, real attraction doesn't grow in pressure or perfection. It grows in presence, confidence, and authenticity. That's what keeps him coming back. That's what keeps you in your power. Mystery isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being hard to fully grasp. It's about revealing enough to spark interest, but holding back just enough to make him lean in. And the truth is, most people give everything away too quickly. They overshare, over-explain, and try to connect so fast that they unknowingly kill the very spark they're trying to build. Mystery is created when there's something about you he can't quite figure out, not in a confusing or manipulative way, but in a way that makes him wonder, what's going on in her world? What is she thinking right now? Who is she when she's not with me? That sense of curiosity is what draws him in and keeps his mind circling back to you, even when you're not around. One of the most powerful ways to create this intrigue is through emotional discipline. That means you don't always respond immediately. You don't always give him a detailed breakdown of what you're thinking or feeling. You give enough for connection, but not so much that he has you fully figured out. Men fall in love in the spaces between conversations, in the unanswered questions, in the wondering, not just the talking. Also, don't underestimate the power of silence. Sometimes saying less actually communicates more. When you're not rushing to fill every silence with explanation or validation, it shows confidence. It tells him, I'm comfortable in my presence, with or without your attention. That's powerful. You also create intrigue by having a full life outside of him. When you're busy with your goals, your passions, your social circle, and you're not constantly updating him on every move, he starts to feel that healthy tension. He realizes he's not the center of your universe, which makes him want to earn a spot in it. Mystery lives in the parts of your life he can see, but doesn't fully understand yet. Another subtle shift, being unpredictable in the right ways. That doesn't mean being flaky or inconsistent. It means you're not stuck in a pattern. Maybe you don't respond the same way every time. Maybe you surprise him with depth or insight he didn't expect. Maybe you show a side of you that's playful one day and introspective the next. This contrast keeps things fresh. It makes him realize, there's more to her. I want to see it all. The key to mystery is this: don't make yourself so available that he feels like he already has you. Leave space for discovery. Let him earn access to deeper layers of you. When you can hold back without fear, when you can be present without oversharing, when you can show up as whole and self-contained, that's when he starts to crave more. And once he starts chasing your mystery, you'll never have to chase his attention again. Words are powerful, but not just any words. It's not about saying the most. It's about saying the right things that bypass logic and tap into emotion. When you know how to speak in a way that triggers a man's emotional pull, you don't need to chase, convince, or compete. He'll feel it in his chest, even if he doesn't fully understand why. Here's the truth. Men don't fall in love with your resume, your appearance, or your achievements. They fall in love with how they feel around you, especially when your words create a sense of emotional intimacy that feels rare. What does that mean? It means speaking in a way that activates emotion, not just information. For example, instead of saying, I had a good day, try, I felt so alive today. I ended up walking around the city for no reason. I love days like that. That small shift invites him into your emotional experience. It paints a picture. It gives him a feeling. That's what sticks. Another powerful move is using emotionally charged phrases that connect to desire, depth, and value. Try something like, I love when a man makes me feel safe enough to be soft. You're not telling him what to do. You're showing him what pulls you in. That makes him want to step into that role naturally. You're guiding him, not demanding. You can also trigger emotional pull by sharing subtle vulnerabilities, not trauma dumping, but little windows into your heart. Something like, I have this habit of pretending everything's fine, even when it's not. I'm working on being more open about what I need. When you say that with confidence, not victim energy, it shows emotional depth. It tells him she's not just surface level, and that stays with him. Another trick, ask questions that pull emotion out of him. Not just, what do you do for work, but what makes you feel most like yourself? Or what's something you rarely tell people but wish they understood about you? These questions flip the script. They make him stop, think, and feel. And when someone feels emotionally seen by you, that bond becomes addictive. Lastly, don't underestimate the power of absence. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Leaving a little space, letting your words land, pausing before you reply, giving him room to miss your energy and chase the connection again. The goal isn't to impress him. It's to create a feeling he associates with you. Calm, safe, exciting, curious, inspired. When your words evoke those emotions, you leave a mark, and he'll find himself wanting more of that, more of you. That's the pull you're creating. And once it's there, he won't even realize he's chasing it. Silence makes people uncomfortable, but that's exactly why it's powerful. We live in a world where everyone's trying to say more, do more, prove more. But when you master the art of silence in space, you instantly stand out. You stop being one of many and become unforgettable. Why? Because silence creates contrast. And contrast is what makes emotional impact last. When you stop texting first, when you give space instead of over-explaining, when you allow moments to breathe instead of filling them with anxiety-driven energy, he feels it. It's not about ghosting, playing cold, or withdrawing love. It's about embodying emotional confidence. You're not silent because you're scared. You're silent because you're centered. And here's what most women don't realize. Silence is often louder than words. When you don't chase, when you don't react, when you don't rush to fix or follow up, you send a message without saying a single thing. A message that says, I'm not afraid to take up space. I'm not afraid to be missed. I'm not afraid to be still. Men notice that. They feel that energy. It lingers. When a man is used to women over-explaining, over-texting, or over-sharing, and suddenly he meets a woman who knows when to speak and when to pause, it disorients him in the best way. He starts questioning, is she pulling away? Did I do something wrong? Why am I thinking about her more now that she's quiet? That's the seed of emotional pull. Because silence creates mental space, and mental space becomes emotional curiosity. You're not punishing him. You're letting him feel your absence. You're letting him realize the value of your energy when it's not constantly available on demand. Same with physical or emotional space. Taking a weekend for yourself, saying, I'm going to take some time to think about that. Or even just not rushing to fill every moment of conversation. These small acts tell him you have your own world, and that world is sacred. And here's the most beautiful part. Silence helps you reconnect to your own center. When you stop constantly reacting to someone else's pace, you start moving to your own rhythm. You stop performing. You stop proving. You start remembering that your presence is powerful, not because you chase or talk or give endlessly, but because you don't need to. Space allows energy to shift. It gives him time to reflect, to question, to feel your absence and crave your presence. If he's emotionally connected to you, space doesn't make him forget. It makes him remember. So don't be afraid of silence. Don't be afraid of space. When used with intention, they're not gaps, they're tools. And when you learn how to hold them with confidence, you'll see just how powerful your presence becomes, even when you say nothing at all. Becoming the prize isn't about playing games or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about shifting your mindset from, I hope he picks me, to I'm deciding whether he's even worth my energy. That one shift changes everything. When a woman knows she's the prize, it's not just in how she talks, it's in how she carries herself. It's in her energy. It's in her standards. She's not afraid to say no. She's not afraid to walk away, not to manipulate or punish, but because her peace is not up for negotiation. One practical way to step into this mindset is to stop prioritizing potential. A woman who sees herself as the prize doesn't fall in love with a man's future self. She looks at how he's showing up right now. She observes how he treats her, how he handles challenges, how he respects her time. And if it doesn't align with her standards, she lets go. No begging, no waiting, no trying to convince someone to see her value. She also stops over-explaining her worth. When you're truly in your power, you don't justify your boundaries. You don't argue for your needs. You communicate with calm clarity. You know that the right person won't need to be sold on you. They'll recognize you. Another key trait. She's busy building her own world. Her life is full. Her goals, her friends, her passions. They're not distractions from love. They're proof that she doesn't need to be rescued. That kind of energy is intoxicating. When a man sees that your life is whole, with or without him, it makes him want to earn a place in it, not be handed one. And here's a powerful habit. She pauses before responding. Whether it's a text, a compliment, or a red flag, she doesn't rush. She responds, not reacts. That pause, that moment of self-checking before giving her energy away. That's the difference between being emotionally impulsive and emotionally intelligent. That's what makes her magnetic. Becoming the prize is also about receiving. A lot of women are so used to giving and doing, they forget the power of letting someone show up for them. Practice saying yes to help. Practice being open to receiving compliments, love, attention, without deflecting it. That openness signals, I'm worthy of good things, and the energy around you starts to reflect that. And above all, the woman who is the prize never chases. She invites, she attracts, she chooses. Her energy says, I know what I bring to the table, so I'm not afraid to eat alone until the right man shows up. When you live like that, rooted in self-worth, not scarcity, you don't just become attractive, you become unforgettable. Because being the prize isn't about having him, it's about knowing you don't need him to feel complete. And that's exactly why he can't stop wanting you. Here's the truth. Most women overthink what to say to a man. They write long paragraphs, try to be clever, or ask questions just to get a response. But the kind of message that actually hooks him, the one that gets him emotionally invested, is usually simple, subtle, and unexpected. Because the text that stays in his mind isn't about how many words you use, it's about how it makes him feel when he reads it. So here it is, one powerful line that taps directly into emotional curiosity, value, and desire. I had a moment today where I almost texted you something I probably shouldn't, but I stopped myself. That's it. This message works because it hits all the psychological triggers that draw a man in: mystery, emotional tension, ego engagement, and just enough vulnerability to feel real. When he reads that, his mind goes into overdrive. What was she going to say? Why did she stop herself? Was it about me? Was it something deep, flirty, serious? It creates emotional incompleteness, which is the secret ingredient in obsession. You didn't give him everything. You gave him a taste, then pulled back, and now he's thinking about you, even if he doesn't reply right away. More importantly, this text signals that you're emotionally aware and in control. You're not dumping feelings onto him. You're showing restraint, and restraint, when it's intentional, is magnetic. It shows you have depth, but you're not desperate. You're willing to let him wonder, which builds emotional tension, the good kind. And here's the best part: this message invites him to lean in. If he responds with curiosity, which most emotionally connected men will, you now have the opening to spark a deeper conversation. You can steer it wherever you want, depending on the kind of connection you're building. If he asks, "What were you going to say?" you can keep the intrigue going. I don't know. It felt too soon to share. Maybe one day. Or you can pivot into playful vulnerability. "It was something soft. I've been trying to stay out of my feelings, but you snuck into my head today." Whatever path you take, the key is this: don't give it all away at once. Let him feel the anticipation. Let him chase the answer. Because when a man is emotionally invested in a question, especially one that touches on intimacy or desire, he can't help but stay mentally connected to the person who asked it. So next time you feel the urge to send a long message explaining your feelings, try sending this one instead. Let him feel the space. Let him wonder. Let him chase the meaning. Because when you master emotional pacing, one well-timed sentence can do what 50 over-explained texts never could. It makes him want more of you. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with some final words that are crucial if you truly want to become his biggest addiction without ever chasing again. First, remember this: your value is not determined by his attention. So many women fall into the trap of measuring their worth by how often he texts, calls, or shows up. But that's the exact opposite of power. When you build your self-worth from within, no one else's behavior can shake your confidence. You become untouchable, magnetic in a way that isn't needy or desperate, but deeply attractive. Second, patience is your secret weapon. It's tempting to want everything right now: the calls, the texts, the dates, but true attraction takes time to build. It's like a slow burning fire, not a flash in the pan. When you give things the space to unfold naturally, you not only protect your emotional energy, but you also create the tension and curiosity that make him want to keep coming back. Third, boundaries are not just rules, they're declarations of self-respect. If you don't set clear boundaries about what you will and won't tolerate, you're sending a message that anything goes. But when you confidently uphold your boundaries, you're saying, "I know what I deserve, and I won't settle for less." That kind of energy is irresistible because it shows you respect yourself enough to expect respect from others. Fourth, always embrace your feminine energy without apology. This isn't about being submissive or passive. It's about owning your softness, your intuition, your emotional intelligence, the qualities that make you uniquely magnetic. When you move through the world with that energy, you don't have to chase or manipulate. You naturally draw the right man toward you. And lastly, remember that becoming his biggest addiction is about becoming your own biggest prize first. The more you love, respect, and honor yourself, the less you'll ever feel the need to chase. You become whole, complete, and beautiful, all on your own, and that completeness creates a pull no one can resist. So whatever stage you're at right now, whether you're just starting to realize your worth, or you've been on this journey for a while, keep these reminders close. Your journey isn't about changing him. It's about changing how you show up. And when you do that, you become truly unstoppable. Thank you so much for watching. If you found value in this video, make sure to like, comment your biggest takeaway, and subscribe for more content like this. Remember, your power is already inside you. You just have to choose to own it. Until next time, keep shining, keep rising, and keep being the amazing woman you were always meant to be.